Well, for those who don't know, we should explain that you're the head of a school that's literally, without exaggeration, between MIT and Harvard.
Yeah, it's right there.
Right. So if anybody's applying to the school, visiting to the school, or dropping off somebody for the first time at the school, they're literally driving to the center of the MIT Harvard universe and hope it works out. Right. And I think you're totally right. You said you have students from over 80 different towns, which is to say no less than 82 of them are not Cambridge, Boston proper.
Correct.
And so I can see how it's terribly important for you as an organization to let parents know and relatives know and visitors know and applicants know, look, we create events for you to connect. We're not going to throw you into a bunch of coastal elitist snobs and hope you make it out, right? And if you can't, then tough beans, you're clearly not, part of here. They know, wow, this school creates events where I'm going to be given the space, the time, and the instructions that are easy to form relationships that I actually don't want to walk away from at the end of the event.
Absolutely. And, 48% of our students, our families, identify as families or students of color. And so we also have an incredibly diverse community across all sorts of definitions of difference. And so I think walking into a space where people have such different lived experiences can also feel intimidating, regardless of your own lived experience. Mm-hmm. So being able to set this up in a way that you can make connections on top of it being this school where it can feel overwhelming. I mean, my school, Buckingham, Brown and Nichols, sounds like a law firm. So we have to kind of over that all the time, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm delighted to learn that after we spent time talking about what would be investments that would connect people, that important for your school, you're absolutely seeing results. We're less than a year out, right?
Yeah, we're like 8 months.
And I'm curious, have you noticed that other organizations are noticing how parents and donors and stakeholders in general are responding to this investment when you bring people together? And is it inspiring them to create experiences that are far more rich and more connecting?
Yeah. So from my lens, I always think of the fractal nature of schools. So what the head's office and the senior leadership team is doing, I'm starting to see. So I shared your document with our parents association. And so I'm asking folks, look, you've come to events that we've run and we're creating these experiences. You should be thinking about the same thing when you're having Chinese New Year or the Iftar event or any of those events. So we're starting to see folks doing that. We're starting to see on our campuses, we have 3 campuses here. Even when I'm not there, people are starting to think about how are we intentionally making invitations and how are we intentionally thinking about making sure that when people are here, they feel seen and we're thinking about how they connect. So I'm not seeing it outside of my school yet. Doesn't mean it's not happening. It's just kind of my lens is much more my school. As a school leader, I'm always looking at that.
Well, and as parents experience what you're doing, they're going to want to create that for their own organizations. Right?
Yeah. And I had a brand new parent at our event this week. And at the end, she goes, it was so amazing, Jen, that I came into this and you really thought about and structured our time together. She goes, I know you guys all do that for kids all the time, but the fact that you did it for parents was really wonderful. It made the night so amazing.
She could tell that you took her time seriously and wanted her to have a positive experience and not what I call in my work, hope and gather, right?
Correct. Exactly.
So one last question time that we have, one of the things I wrote in the guideline as an option is near the end of the event to invite your participants to share with the people there in this small group, this campfire experience, one thing they're taking away from the experience. And I do that for a very specific reason. One is I want to give them permission to say that thing they may not say because it's kind of hokey, right? Like, wow, it's inspiring to meet you, Dr. Price. Or, wow, you've made me totally rethink about how we should be including sports as a priority, like whatever it is. First of all, they didn't have permission to say that. And second of all, when I say it was really inspiring to meet you, Dr. Price, you learned this time was actually valuable for me. Whereas before you might have just been hoping, gee, I hope Charles didn't think I was a jerk. Right? I hope he doesn't think our school's really snobby. We're trying not to be snobby. But when I say this was really inspiring, you're like, got it. So I'm curious, is that something you've played with to give participants that chance to take away that data?
No, but you know what? I'm literally about to go into a board meeting and we're going to do this trivia. Okay. I'm going to ask that question at the end. Okay. I love it. It's a great idea.
Well, it's important that it's done in the breakout groups because if it's a big group, then I'm like telling like 30, 100 people like, well, I was really, no. But if I
No.
can turn to 4 people or 2 people and say, wow, this was really helpful to learn about, all of a sudden that becomes intimate.
Yeah. And these will be in groups of 3 or 4. So that'll be perfect. And I think it's a great way, especially as I'm thinking about, my former trustees and my current trustees learning from one another. I'm all trying to create those opportunities for growth and learning.
Well, over the years that I've been doing this, I have found it has been repeatedly a surprising highlight for participants, because when someone gives a callback to a contribution they made over, depending on how long the dinner is, maybe hours, right?
Yeah.
It alerts them that that really landed, for others, and that their participation was not only noted, but moving. And we don't get that in normal life.
We definitely don't.
Right. We just hope people thought we were not jerks. And sometimes they're wrong, as the case may be.